you guys, it's Megan from Create Your Future. Today we have Karen here with us. Hey Karen, how are you?
Hi Megan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So today you guys, before I start, let me remind you guys, Karen's a coach here, and actually she's going to share some of her success stories with some of her clients today. So before we start, make sure that you guys check out her descriptions and the link below if you're interested in her coaching you, and she knows her stuff. So I would definitely advise you guys to do that. So anyway, so we're going to go through Karen's success stories with her clients. We're going to talk about the importance of a list and your intentions. And she's going to go through some success stories about clients manifesting things off their list, such as free groceries, clothes, seeing their father, and some things with a specific person. So yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Hi. So, by the way, everyone, I'm a little sick today, and maybe I'll add that story at the end because I totally manifested this, and it's funny because as this video is going to be about your intentions and your thoughts, like they will chase you. You don't have to go looking for them; they'll show up. So basically, some of these success stories from my clients are from doing like MIDI lists. And in my video, I think my video with Amanda, I mentioned about how I do my mini manifestation list. And the way that I do it is I usually include like random insignificant things, like, seeing a purple elephant, seeing someone wearing blue pants, someone saying like a specific phrase, like someone wearing a certain hairstyle, along with things that I actually want, both little and big. So it might be receiving a text message or getting free food or just things that generally I want and I would want to receive. And one thing that's very important is like really personalizing it and including things that make you happy, because I know coffee is a very generic thing that people might try to manifest, but I don't drink coffee. So I can manifest a free coffee, but that's not going to be as exciting to me because I'm not going to enjoy it. But if I get, say, like an ice cream that I like or a food that I like, it's going to also bring me joy when I eat it. And I'm going to be happy to receive it. I'm going to be even more grateful and more happy because I'm actually going to enjoy it, as opposed to something that I'm not going to enjoy. So that's why I like to mix up things, because it's fun to see someone with red pants, but it's also not something I'm going to enjoy for a long period of time or even for a short period of time. It's just kind of like, oh, I did that, but that's it. So like I said, I mix up, and as things happen, I may add like bigger things. Like right now I add mostly bigger and medium things rather than like smaller things, but you can kind of like level it up as you start to see your list come about, because it will come about.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing. It's funny because when I first started, it's really funny that you mentioned that. And I was going to ask you, as doing the list on here, success story too. But as I did it, when I first started it, I actually separated my list. Like at first I was like, okay, 5 big things and 10 small things is how I labeled them, which was meaning 5 big things that I wanted, 10 things I don't care about, basically. And guess what came to manifest very quickly? Those 10 things I didn't seem to care about. So then I started like saying, all right, well then just trick your brain then, so putting them in. So I started like, mixing them up, like almost like a stream of consciousness to see if that made any difference. I could trick my brain. It actually did, because I don't care about coffee either, but something I wanted, but it just still teaches you. So do you like separate the list like that, or do you like?
No, that's exactly how I do it. I kind of like will write bigger things in between my list, because it does kind of trick your brain. Like as you're writing it, like, free coffee and then $1,000, like it kind of like carries the same weight because you're writing it all at the same time. And I won $1,000 that way. Actually,
Did you?
Specifically wrote $1,000, and I won $1,000 in a contest.
Oh my God.
And I wrote it on a list, and it's funny because the same list that had $1,000 on it, I had written like a specific like GPS collar for my dog that I wanted like to win in a contest, because it's like $150 and my dog is very destructive. So I was kind of like, and that's a story, so I could probably change that too about my dog. But as of right now, I have a story that my dog is very destructive. So I didn't want to spend $150 on a collar that I had a feeling he was going to break or could potentially break, which, by the way, he did break, because again, like your intentions, your thoughts will follow you. So if I have this story, it has to come through. But anyways, I wanted to win this collar because I wanted to have it, and like I wanted to try it out, but I didn't want to pay for it because I knew he was going to destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had written down the free collar, and shortly after, I won a different collar, just like a regular collar. Like it was cute, but it wasn't what I wanted. And I remember like I wanted this other collar, and then I had to change it. Like, no, like this is just like a birds before land. Like I'm getting this collar, and I'm also getting this other one. And maybe a couple weeks later, I actually won the GPS collar, and it lasted all of a week because my dog destroyed it.
Of course, because your thoughts, stories, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because even in that, your intentions and your thoughts will follow you. So I had this story that my dog was destructive, and therefore the collar had to be destructed. And it actually, it's funny because I got the original one and it got destroyed in a week, and they actually were nice enough to send me a replacement for free. So technically I got 2 free collars.
Oh my gosh.
The second one also lasted a week.
Oh, wow. So do you do your lists like every week then?
No, I don't even do them. I haven't been doing them that often. I kind of just write them and I leave them there and I let them go. I will look at them every couple of days if I remember, but usually I will remember, like if once I see the thing, I'm like, oh, I wrote that down, and I'll go back. And look at it. But I've also manifested like my SP saying very specific things I've written down. Like my mom doing very specific things that are out of the norm.
Right.
So they will show up, but the thing with the list is you can't like be obsessing over it either. Like you can't write it and then be like reading it over and over and over again and being like, where is it? Because the second you question it, you're now saying to the universe, I am looking for this. So it's going to give you more of looking for it instead of the actual thing that you want.
You were so right about that. Like the obsessing part of it, because what's interesting too about that is when I first started this too, I wanted to see like, I just kind of go on like, how do I feel with things? How you were saying about how the coffee, if that brings you joy or that stuff. So anyway, kind of feel like I go feeling like of a resistance type thing, that pressure is what I call it, So when I first started this, so this could help people too, because I felt so much pressure about writing it down. I felt like I was obsessing about it. So I created 2 different lists when I first started. One was just like writing down everything like we're talking about. And then one I called on the fly. So that meant like if I thought of something, how quickly it would manifest, to see which one was quicker for me too. And actually the one thinking about it would seem like the least resistance for me at first, if you can believe that.
Yeah, so it's definitely, you can't obsess about it, and you just have to let the things go. And one thing that I did is like I said, I wrote it in a notebook, so like I could refer back to it, like I couldn't lose it, but I also wasn't looking at it all the time because I kind of kept writing in the notebook. But when I would go back and I did see something show up, I would kind of check it off. And if I saw maybe another thing that hadn't been checked off yet, I'd be like, oh, I got all these other things, so I'm gonna get that too. I didn't make the assumption of that's not here yet. It was no, I got all these other things, so this other thing here, very specific, is also
assume it's going to come too. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, and I think what you're saying is good for everybody to do too. I know we're going to get the success story too, but it's just writing everything down and keeping track of it, because you said you checked it off. I highlighted it. And even if it was like, so I actually had 2 different notebooks. One was on the fly. So even if I still said, oh, I saw like, I'd be like, okay, I intend to see a yellow butterfly right now. Let's say that would be me on the fly, not I wrote it down. So then I would like keep that intention book as well as, the ones I specifically wrote down. And then I'd those were coming already really fast, but the other one's highlighting, because you're right, look back and see everything you're creating. You just feel like you're so powerful. And I love that. And I think everybody should take that advice, what you just said. If something didn't show up, going back to it and being like, well, it has to show up, because look at all these other things, and using that as evidence and changing your assumption. That's really cool.
And it's also, I think it's very important to, like, I know these are like small things, but they're really not. Nothing is really small or big. Everything is exactly the same. So just like you got the free clothes or the coffee or whatever, like that's works exactly the same as manifesting a job or like a bigger amount of money or a specific person to say something or do something or whatever you want. Like they're all exactly the same because they're all down. It all comes down to someone doing something for you. Like everyone is you pushed out. Like if I intend to get free food, the person who gives me the free food has to also have the idea that they're going to give it to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because your thoughts being transmitted out.
And even like the free caller, like the person had to decide that I want it, and then when he broke it and they gave me the replacement, they also had to be like, oh, let's give her a replacement. They could have said no.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's so true. It's so true.
And it's funny because we talked about that in our last video where I was saying how I always got free Chipotle and you've gone to Chipotle and have not had free Chipotle. And so that's the decision. Like the person has to make the decision. They may not say it to everyone. It's your intention that's manifesting. So nothing is like, see the small things as big things too, because that way, if you see everything equally, everything's also going to come equally as fast as small things and equally as effortlessly as the small things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said was holding on to and obsessing about it, is sometimes the thing to stop. But that's when you have to remind yourself, I really am like, my awareness is creating it all. My thoughts are creating it all. My imagination is creating it all. So it's like, so when I think that stuff, I'm like, okay, it's quieting that obsessive thoughts. If you can quiet the obsessive, the negative thought process, and remember, your just awareness is creating, you're going to be able to get things coming a lot faster too.
And if you have those thoughts of like, where is it? Like, it's not here, it's not coming. You're like, no, it is coming. Like other things, so I can get this too, and it's coming. You have to tell yourself it's coming, because the second that you tell yourself it's not, that's the moment you decided that it's not coming.
Right, exactly, because you're calling the shots anyway, so you're making those rules. So why do that to yourself?
So I'm gonna mention some of the ones my clients said now.
Oh, yeah, please do. Get into that.
And these were shared in a session, so I'm just reading them off a notebook from what they said. And one of them had written down on her list that she wanted to get free groceries, and when she went to go pay at the grocery store, she was paying cash, and she gave the store worker $100 bill to pay for the groceries. And as she was walking away, the store worker came up to her and was like, you gave me $200, like here's your $100 back. And she was like, no, I only gave you 100. And they were like, no, yeah, you did, here you go. And they essentially gave her back her $100. And
oh my gosh,
because like she remembers, like when she gave the bill, she touched it and there was only one bill, there was not two. So
right.
Once again, like this is like, you can't worry about how things are going to come to, like anything small, big, medium, whatever, because it's going to show up how it's going to show up. She could have gotten free groceries through someone paying them for her, or through like winning a contest, like what happened to me with my collar. But instead it was it came in a really strange way. And I love when things come in ways like that, because I feel like it even like boosts that idea of how powerful you really are.
Yeah, it really is, and one time I got twice, I said the same thing, like, I'm getting free groceries. I don't want to pay for my groceries, what I said. And I ordered them off ClickList, but they messed up my order. So it's so funny when things come in like that, because they messed up my order. And first I was infuriated. I'm like, I need my stuff to this. I call, and guess what? They're like, you just go, they actually delivered them to the wrong house. They said, so go ahead and keep the order that you have, which was all these other things. Plus, we're going to give you another like $150, which was beyond what I had spent anyway. So I got all these free groceries that weren't mine. I was like, that was kind of cool. I'm like, these are things I probably never ordered. Plus, I got the other free 150 groceries. So you can put your intentions just like she did and gave the $100 bill and really only give $100. And, the person said, no, you gave me 200. So it can just come in that way. So you're so right. You don't have to figure out the how or question it, because it's going to come. It's just going to come.
If anything, the how can sometimes be limiting. And we talked about that in the last video, about how I kept intending for free food and it kept coming in that way. My order was wrong, because that was the how that I could fathom at the moment. But so many other ways that things can show up in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, because you don't want to limit yourself. And I think that's the most fun. I mean, sometimes people think, I want it this way, which there's nothing wrong. Like you said before, I've had, my specific person give me specific things I want him to say. And that's totally fine, just like you have. But also sometimes it's really fun just to put things out there. Like, I want free groceries or I want free money. I want $1,000, whatever it is. And it's going to come in a way that you can't even figure it out.
And when it comes to like the mini list with money, I will say, like, one thing that I did do is, like, I did kind of start with like random amounts that were smaller, like 20, 40. And as I saw them show up, I did one time just put like 1,000. Then they showed up, and I won
Yeah.
them like an Instagram contest for like a picture of my dog.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, so I think what you're saying, which makes sense, is just doing it maybe to build up your confidence as you're learning how this works, is putting something there, and then, you get your confidence, and then you're like, okay, if I got this $20, then the next time I might get $40, and then, to build it up. That's really, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could get $1,000 like first try, like that's
Mhm.
entirely possible. But the thing is,
Mhm.
really believe that you can get it. You can get anything that you can believe that you can get. If you believe it to be possible, it's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
if you don't, and if you have doubts, then start a little smaller, and that's gonna help you boost your confidence. So it kind of just depends where you're at in your
You're
understanding
learning.
of
Yeah.
this, of where you want to start, and you guys can kind of gauge that for yourselves, like what feels reasonable and
Mhm.
what's possible. And like I said, anything is possible, but like you have to believe that for it to be true.
Right, absolutely. Well, I think it has to feel somewhat, like you said, reasonable or natural. I think that's the thing, because, you're right. People all the time say, okay, like, I just want my SP to come to me, after they have no contact, and that they're going to get married right away. Like, they're going to show up with a ring on the doorstep. And that is definitely possible. But I have yet to see any client have that happen yet, just because it's kind of your own thoughts that's creating. So you have to figure out what is reasonable, what's possible for you, what's, seems natural.
Yeah, if you truly believe he can show up with a ring, then he's gonna show up with a
Yeah,
ring.
right.
You have a story of like, oh, that doesn't usually happen, or that only happens in movies.
Right.
And that's gonna be the story that plays out. It also reminds me of like winning the lottery, right? Like everyone
Mhm.
wants to win the lottery, but hardly few people win the lottery, because it is a thing where the second you kind of and I'm not saying it's not impossible, it's impossible to win the lottery. Like I said, everything's possible. But if, as you're filling out the numbers, you're thinking about how hard it is to win it and how many few people win it and the likelihood of winning it, then you're not going to win it, because you're already thinking about all the ways you can't win it.
Right. It's so true, because even as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, I bought like tickets or whatever, scratch offs or whatever, and every single time, like, yeah, this is a waste of my money. Just that little thought right there. You're so right.
Yeah, and like I said, the way, like, I won $1,000, and I just kind of entered the contest, and actually it was a video my dad took of my dog, and
Mhm.
he still like jokes around that like he took a winning video, and like he's such a good videographer or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like a very spontaneous, like it was something like really random, and I won, and it was just random, but at the same time it wasn't, because I had set an intention and it had to show up. If I would have tried to maybe win $1,000 like on purpose, like
Mhm.
going to casino or putting a lottery card, like I would have probably had too much resistance to like holding on to
Mhm.
like, supposed to be winning $1,000. Where's my $1,000? This is the way
Mhm.
it's gonna come, or that way, or that
Yeah.
way. No, like it came because I didn't focus on how. I just knew that it was gonna come, and then it showed up in the way that it did.
Right, and you just made a really good point. So when we're talking about resistance, it's that all those limiting beliefs, all the argument in your head of why it's not going to happen or how it's going to happen. So that's what we're saying. Sometimes it's easier to just go general, just think, okay, I want $1,000. I'm gonna, what? Let's do it right now. Let's both intend to get a free $1,000, and everybody else. I intend for everybody to get $1,000.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good amount of money that you can do a lot of things with too.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's intend everyone's gonna get $1,000. How? It doesn't matter, but it's gonna show up. That's the point, and that's what
Yes,
you have to stick to.
absolutely.
So my second client that did the mini list, so she got a couple things on her list that she shared with me, and when she had wanted to get free clothes, and she got free clothes, and she had intended to get $50 from her job, and she got exactly like $50 from her job.
Oh, wow.
And she also had manifested her specific person liking a photo and following her, and she also had manifested seeing her dad after like a long period of time that they had had a rift in their relationship. And I remember her sharing how she had set an intention. I think it was, I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that she wanted for him to like say happy birthday to her, to say like something positive for her birthday, or just for things to go well. Like it was a very general intention. But she had shared with me that she had actually not specifically intended to see him. Like
Oh,
she
really?
didn't even actually think that was going to be like the extent of like what she was going to get. Like she just like had a more general intention of like things going positively. And I think she had said that she was expecting like at least a positive message. Like her expectation was here, but she actually had him show up and everything went really smoothly. And
Oh,
even
wow.
after like they had like an argument. And it's funny because that's exactly what we were just talking about, the how. Like if you try to limit yourself, like you can get something even better sometimes than what you expect, because you don't know like all of the things that your mind has thought up that are great and even better than what you think is possible.
Yeah, that's so true. There's been many things like that that's happened in my life, and it's so fun.
And just there's so many possibilities. So sometimes, yeah, like you said, like it's nice to have a specific thing that you want, but sometimes it's nice to go general and let yourself get the surprise and expect positive things. And like these intentions, like they're gonna show up, they're gonna chase you.
Well, yeah, because they have to, and that's what you go the opposite way too. Like you were saying, like we've had things this week. Both of us have unintentionally manifested that we didn't want to show up. Like mine was my electricity going out a couple of times. So the power going out, and so also be careful what you're saying in the opposite direction as well.
And the thing is, and it's funny because I'll share why I'm sick. And it's basically in my building, the elevator that's close to my apartment, that's the elevator I used to take my dog out to go to the bathroom, and he he likes to go that specific way. If we go a different way, he gets like antsy and he starts pulling me because he like really wants to go, and he knows like the way that he usually goes. So that's also the moving elevator. Anytime someone's moving into the building, they shut down the elevator for 3 or 4 hours. So it's extremely inconvenient for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was talking to my neighbor about it, and I was complaining about the elevator thing and how next to that elevator, there's not a staircase. So like, the staircase is essentially like on the other side of the building, or I have to go like a completely different way, like down the hallway, and there's like a side door that goes out. So I was complaining to him how like the stairs and like why isn't there stairs next to an elevator? Like that's how all buildings should be made. Like, and I honestly didn't even care about the building's construction. I was more annoyed about the fact that like I couldn't get down to take my dog out.
Right.
That made a comment of like, what do they expect us to do in case of an emergency? Like, how are we supposed to exit in case of an emergency? And again, I didn't actually care about the emergency. I didn't care about like the building at all. Like my concern was that they were inconveniencing me for taking my dog out.
Right.
So lo and behold, a week later, there was an emergency. There was a fire in one of the apartments. It wasn't a big fire because I do have like a general self-concept of like things are safe and things like that. It was a very small fire, inconvenient enough that we still had to evacuate the building at like 1:30 in the morning. And I was sitting outside for half an hour in my pajamas with my dog. That's why I'm sick. But the whole time that I was sitting out there, I was just like, I should have not complained about the staircase in the building, the fire evacuation, because I wondered what would happen in evacuation, right? And the universe answered my question. Like, we choose what we want to experience. And I said to the universe, like, I want to experience, like, what do we do in case of an emergency? And I experienced it, right?
Yeah.
And I actually had a client yesterday who was like, she was like, oh, do you feel bad that you're sick or that you manifested that? And I said, no. And the reason why I don't is because like that just also shows that I'm that powerful of a creator. Like, why am I going to be upset for creating it when I can also change it? And also it's a passing thing. I'm going to be fine tomorrow.
Right. Well, you brought up a good point because, I don't want people to be afraid of, bad things manifesting, because you can change. Because even when my power went out, and I remember that thought, and my first inclination was to be completely irritated, as anybody would be, right? But then I just went to the end and I imagined the power being on. I said my intentions, and it came back on. And it could have gone on for hours, because there was one time, and I did make it that declaration because I was out of town, maybe like, I don't know, when the last time the power went out, and I was reading, because we have like a neighborhood Facebook group. So I was reading all that stuff and I wasn't here. And they said it was out for like maybe 10 hours the last time it went out, and I wasn't here. So I was like, oh no, that's not happening. And I went like straight to the end, made my intentions, and it came back on in the next, 45 minutes or something like that. So, but it wasn't doing that first. First, I was sitting in that like, oh my God, this sucks, you know, like that whole like entire thing. How am I going to open up my garage? What am I going to do? You know, and I was going in that whole thing. How should I call it power outage, you know, power company? And I'm like, no, I can create. My thoughts create. Then I went and said what I wanted, and then boom, came back on.
And it's nothing to be afraid of. Like, that's just how powerful you are. And if you have a general idea that things go well in your life and everything works out for you, then you're also not going to manifest anything too terrible. Like I said, like I have a general belief that like everything runs smoothly in my life, and I manifested a small fire. It was more inconvenient than like, it wasn't dangerous. It was extremely inconvenient, extremely annoying. And I still got to experience like what I wanted without it being like, whoa, big emergency. It was a small emergency, you know? So it's not anything to be afraid of. And that actually, like, nothing is really good or bad. Like, everything's really neutral. We assign the meaning. We assign if it's good or bad. Like, even me being sick, like, I've gotten like good things out of it. Like, I got 2 days off of work in the beginning of the week, and I got to rest, and I was watching movies. Like, anything can be seen as good or bad. Like, you're the one that's telling the story, so you have to tell the story that works for you.
Right. And it's just changed your perception of that. You're exactly right. And everything is, you know, really nothing is good or bad, positive or negative is what we assign. But that goes back to be careful what you're saying, because the universe hears you, your subconscious hears you, whatever you want to say, and it has no choice but to manifest.
Also, I want to say that in my last video, and I was referring to a movie about like parallel realities and like time travel, and I did intend that someone would answer the name of the movie in the comments, and someone did do it, so thank you.
I saw that. I was going to ask you. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I was wondering, what is it?
The movie was called Mirage. That was the movie. Thank you for the person that commented it. But I did intend that. I was like, I think I said it in the video. I was like, I know someone knows the title of the movie, and I in my head I was like, someone's gonna comment it.
Yeah, I know they did. I saw that. I was like, oh, they did. And I was gonna, and then I was like, okay, remember, I intend for her to bring it up in the video, and you did. But I totally forgot about it right now.
I know, I totally forgot about it up to right now too, because that's exactly what we're talking about. Like, your intentions will chase you. I didn't like. In the video too, in passing in my head, I was like, someone's gonna comment the title of the movie because I want people to know what it is, and I don't know what it is right now. And it happened. Like, I didn't sit there, oh, but what if someone doesn't? But what if no one knows what I'm talking about? I just decided that someone was gonna know, and someone did, and someone commented it, right? And Megan thought I want her to bring it up, and I just brought it up naturally. She didn't have to. At no point did she tell me like, oh, bring that up.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's exactly how it works, guys. It's very effortless. You let it be effortless.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, you know, and that's the whole point of why we always stress doing the list. And I mean, people sometimes, maybe that's my story, but sometimes people don't want to do the list, you know, but I just think it's so important because it will teach you how you manifest. It will teach you how you can see how your thoughts are creating. And it will give you that confidence. And yes, you might not care about the coffee or, you know, whatever, but it's still going to give you that confidence to see how you manifest and how your thoughts are creating.
No, and it can be exciting. And that's exactly why I say to include things that you actually want, because that's going to make it all the more exciting when you get those things. Like, I was very excited when I got my $1,000. So
yeah.
I also intended that I would be able to talk through the whole video and look towards the end.
You did awesome. We made that intention. So, well, anyway, yeah, your intentions will chase you guys, and I intend that this video helps you guys, and I intend that you all try a list and manifest this and see how it works in your reality. Yeah, that's what I think.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Karen. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you, Karen, for sharing that and being here. And again, you guys, Karen's a coach, so check out her description. She knows what she's talking about. And thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.